You're here because you want to master the percentage composition of elements with a University of Cambridge graduate. This is actually part 2 of our Mo Concept lecture series. So if you haven't watched the previous lecture, or if you want to watch the follow-up lectures after this one, be sure to check out our playlist or visit our link in the description below to check out the further videos. Hi, I'm Brendan, and I've been helping students like you achieve their mastery over chemistry over the past 8 years, and I hope that you can learn something from me today. Before we begin, be sure to go into the link below so that you can download a free copy of my notes and use it to follow through our lesson today. Another formula that is quite commonly used is to find out the percentage composition of an element in the compound. So the percentage composition of an element in a compound is equal to the number of atoms of a particular element, right, times the atomic mass of the element. Then you divide it by the overall mass of the compound. So, and then you times 100%. So, right, we are essentially just taking the mass, the total mass of the element, right, dividing it by the total mass of the compound. And this is, in theory, how you find the percentage composition. Remember, percentage is like how much you compose of inside the element, inside the compound by mass. So let's take a look at some examples. So to find the percentage composition of copper in copper 2 sulfate, right, we tend to just label it first. And remember, if we just follow the formula, right, to find this, we want to find the number of this particular element. So there's only one copper, so it's just 1 times 64, okay, divided by the total mass of the compound, which is the relative molecular mass, which is just 64 plus 32 because it's 1 sulfur plus 16 times 4 because there's 4 oxygens. Okay, and then you overall mass times 100%. So if you do that, you'll get overall 40.0%. Okay, converted to 3SF. Next example, right, to find the percentage composition of hydrogen in ethanoic acid. So let's just label it first. Right. And then once we label it, right, again, we can find the number of H elements, right? So there's actually 4 in total, if you count it properly, and then you divide it by the total mass. So in total, there is actually 2 carbons, right? There's 4 hydrogens, as we've already found out, and there's actually 2 oxygens. So if you do this, right, and you label it properly, of course, you must times 100%, don't forget. Okay, you will get overall value, you calculate properly, okay, you get overall value of like 6.67%, right, converted to 3SF. Okay, so that's exactly how you find the percentage composition. Next, okay, if you ever given an example of hydrated copper 2 sulfate crystal, again, just treat this as a proper molecular formula. Okay, they say it can be dehydrated by heating, so calculate the percentage composition by mass of water present in the molecule. Okay, so if they're asking for the percentage composition of a particular molecule, right, you just follow the question. Okay, so they're finding the percentage composition of H2O inside this molecule. So we know that there's 5 water molecules, so there's 5 times 1 times 2 plus 16 over here, divided by the total mass of the compound, which is 64 for copper, plus 32 for sulfur, plus 16 times 4 for all the oxygens, plus 5 times 18 for the water molecules, and then you times 100%. When you do this, okay, you calculate properly and you get a value of about actually 36.0%. So water actually takes up quite a huge composition, percentage composition in this whole hydrated salt. Okay, next, right, we can also find the mass of an element in a given mass of a compound, right? So the mass of an element in the given mass of a compound, again, you just want to take the number of atoms of a particular element times the relative atomic mass, okay, divided by the total mass of the compound, you will times the mass of the compound itself, okay, which is the actual mass that you're given. Essentially, what you're doing over here, okay, this fraction over here is finding the percentage composition itself of the element in the compound, right? So you can actually use that percentage composition multiplied by the given mass of a compound to find the mass of a particular element. So for example, if you're calculating the mass of copper in 32 grams of copper 2 sulfate, you can take the mass of copper. This is equals to, so you know there's only 1 copper atom, so it's just 64 divided by, okay, copper 2 sulfate is 64 plus 32 plus 16 times 4, we kind of been through this. And then now, instead of times 100%, you will times 32 grams because this is the given mass of the compound over here. Okay, and this will give you a value of 12.8 grams. So there's actually 12.8 grams worth of copper inside the 32 grams of copper 2 sulfate. Okay, so let's look at another example. So let's calculate the mass of water. Okay, and 12.3 grams of magnesium sulfate 7H2O. Right, so again we label, so you want to find the mass of water, right? So this is just 7 times there's 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen inside, okay, and then you take the divided by the overall mass, which is magnesium is 24, okay, sulfate is 32, 16 times 4 for the oxygens, and then plus 7 times 18 for the water, okay, and then you would times 12.3 grams, which is the given mass. Okay, once you do that, you can just calculate and you get an overall answer of just 6.30 grams. So there's actually 6.30 grams of water inside this 12.3 grams of hydrated salt. If you enjoyed today's video, do remember to click the subscribe button so that you can enjoy more free content from us and improve your chemistry with us together. If you want to join my community of students to learn more secret formulas to acing chemistry, do check us out in the link below and sign up for a free trial class today.